Om Shri Sai Ram. Humble prostrations at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Master, Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Dharma Vahini, Chapter 11. 3 Eras. Summary. The eras were classified according to the principles and practices of spiritual progress. Firstly, the Vedic era, during which great importance was laid on rituals or karma. Secondly, the Upanishadic era, when spiritual wisdom or jnana was emphasized. And thirdly, the Puranic era, when devotion or bhakti was described as all-important. In the Vedic era, it was realized that the absolute principle or Paramatma is the only one, but also that it manifests nevertheless as varied and manifold under different names and forms. Faith is praised as being the highest form of worship. In time, however, rituals began gaining prominence as the end rather than the means to the end. In the next Upanishadic age, material objectives were rejected as devoid of permanent value. The vision of the Upanishadic aspirant or sadhaka breaks through this external sensory objective world and centers itself on the inner world. If the scholar, with all the weight of learning, also gets immersed in devotion, his life is indeed sanctified. Before such aspirants, the Lord will be manifest in his real glory. The universal is the individual's highest goal, highest wealth, highest elevation, and deepest joy. In the Puranic age, the seeds of devotion which are found scattered in the Vedic texts and sprout in the Upanishads now begin to grow into full blossom. Devotion has infinite facets. Only pure, tender, tolerant, calm, and loving souls can understand the purity and depth of devotion. First, aspirants must practice the spiritual discipline related to the aspect of God with attributes, and this will endow them with concentration. Later, they can merge their minds in the attributeless Brahman itself. Key takeaways from this chapter. Firstly, the Vedas, Upanishads, and the Puranas taken individually or when assimilated collectively are pathways to the ultimate, highlighting different dimensions of the same supreme reality. From energy codified mantras in the Vedas to the spiritual inquiry of the Upanishads, and finally to the form-inspired devotion of the Puranas, each of them are a pathway to the indescribable truth. It is therefore for us to imbibe these central themes and use them as tools to evoke in ourselves the depth of devotion and realize the highest. Secondly, a common thread that cuts across the 3 eras is how intellectual understanding, while worthy by itself, is insufficient to attain the highest. Devotion and adoration of the Lord, often described as Shraddha or faith, is postulated to be the way to the ultimate. Divinity is thus within the grasp of the meekest and faithful, but yet may be far away from the scholarly but faithless amongst us. Let us therefore cultivate the humility and non-judgmental temperament required to understand both our individual limitations as well as equal potentiality towards God realization. Thirdly, worship of the attributes of the Lord is both enjoyable and useful. It reflects the inherent compassion of the infinite divine to entice us with first a form of relatability and relative understanding to help evoke within ourselves the qualities and feelings required to eventually merge in oneness with the formless, attributeless consciousness. Let us hold the hand of our favorite divine form till we can flap our wings and eventually soar into the infinite sky. End of chapter 11. Jai Sai Ram.